Chapter 691. That's not how you scrap pick. Blue River's Blue Bridge Spring Snow was one of Blue Brook Guild's 5 grade experts. Him being a part of Blue Brook Guild's elite group wasn't anything unusual. Even though he hated how the guilds were always trying to deceive one another, Blue River was still a loyal Team Blue Rain fan. This was something that had never changed. Team Blue Rain had been crushed by Team Samsara in the finals. Blue River also needed some way to vent his emotions. PK War. In the minds of guild leaders like Changing Spring, this was something that would only result in injury. It was best to avoid it if possible. However, in Blue River's heart, he wanted to participate in this unnecessary war. There were no schemes or planning required. All he had to do was curse at Samsara and start hacking away. As a result, Blue River was very eager to fight. His original reason for taking up heavy responsibilities in the guild was to support Team Blue Rain, but he had since become tired of such work. Fighting mindlessly was an activity that he happily welcomed. He didn't need to consider things from a long-term perspective. He didn't need to consider the guild's interests when he fought like this. He didn't need to think about whether this was good or bad for the team. By releasing his pent-up emotions, he could show his passionate support for the team. However, he still had to go along with the elite group, so he hadn't encountered any troubles during the fighting. Their group swept away everyone in their path. And from their group chat, he knew that Samsara's elite group was doing the same on the other side of the battlefield. Blue River impatiently wanted to fight them, but in his heart, he knew that the guild wouldn't allow for such a confrontation to happen. The much more dedicated Changing Spring kept his rationale. He set an example as the leader of the guild, while avoiding real confrontations to preserve the guild's strength. Samsara clearly had the same thoughts. Blue River didn't know whether Changing Spring had kept in contact with Samsara's 3 realms 6 paths. In any case, the elite groups of the two guilds seemed to not know that the other existed and focused on exerting all their strength to bully the normal members of the opposing guild. How boring. Blue River thought to himself. Once one became a core elite member of the guild, could that still be considered as playing the game anymore? Truthfully, Blue River felt like he had been bound because of his support for the team. If he didn't do these tasks, it felt like he wasn't doing enough to support his team. Blue River's support for the team had never changed, but he really didn't like that feeling. I'm not suitable for playing in a guild. Blue River was killing Samsara fans to vent his anger, while sighing to himself in sorrow. At this moment, he saw Lord Grimm's group chasing someone. Their target just happened to pass him. Blue River saw that he wasn't from Blue Brook Guild, so he attacked him. Lord Grimm soon caught up, ended that person's life, and picked up all the equipment that dropped. This scene made Blue River speechless. Not white. Remember this name, Yi Shu said to Tang Ru and Steamed Bun. Blue River's Blue Bridge Spring Snow hadn't even left yet. He shuddered when he heard these words. How did this guy manage to offend God Yi Chu? Because he was scrap-picking? What a deep grudge. They were going to imprint his name into their minds just because of that? Yi Shu also messaged the 4 allied guild leaders to help him take note of this character. When he turned around, he saw that Blue Bridge Spring Snow was still standing there. Blue Bridge Spring Snow was currently located in the midst of the Blue Brook Guild elite groups. Quite a few Blue Brook Guild players noticed Lord Grimm, including their guild leader, Changing Spring. What's he doing here? Changing Spring began to feel fearful. For Changing Spring, nothing ever good happened whenever Lord Grimm appeared. Seeing Blue Bridge Spring Snow talking with that guy, Changing Spring didn't hesitate to ask Blue River. He's just here to scrap pick, Blue River replied to his guild leader. Scrap pick. Quite a few people were waiting for an answer, most of which were experts like Ice of Dawn and Chilling Nightfall. They were like their guild leader. Whenever they saw Lord Grimm's name, the first thought that came to mind was, not good. As for what was not good, wasn't that being asked right now? But this answer made them think deeply. How would scrap picking affect their guild? Blue Brook Guild clearly had a bad impression of Yi Shu. In any case, whenever they saw him, they were certain that he was up to no good. As for how exactly this was bad for them, they needed to go find out. Scrap pick. At this moment, a witness, who saw that scene, began speaking. How is that scrap picking? Isn't he just stealing? This witness quickly described the scene that he had just seen. F***ck. All of the experts were alarmed. He wasn't picking up scraps, but directly stealing instead? The old experts with top-quality equipment immediately became uneasy. How could they be opponents for God Yi Chu? Who could actually stop him? It's just 3 people. They can't be looking to attack us, can they? Someone said. We can't be careless, Changing Spring said in a solemn voice. There were 200 elite players, who could be considered peak experts of the heavenly domain, facing Yi Shu's group of 3, yet they were the ones who were actually worried. They felt that their worries were completely deserved too. They weren't ashamed at all. Blue Brook Guild had been completely eaten up by the shadow in their hearts. But after Yi Shu spoke to Blue River for a bit, the 3 characters left. Everyone in Blue Brook Guild heaved sighs of relief, but they soon discovered that he hadn't gone far. Of course Yi Shu's group wouldn't go far. They were here to pick up scraps. Blue Brook Guild's elite group swept away everything in their path, killing people and littering the floor with equipment. Of course, scrap pickers would hang around nearby. However, most scrap pickers picked up equipment when the other side wasn't paying attention. They would rush over to pick up the equipment, run, and perhaps die. No one was as arrogant as Yi Shu's group. They just calmly followed the elite group from a short distance away. They didn't think that their movements would put Blue Brook Guild under a huge amount of pressure. He still hasn't left. He still hasn't left. Why isn't he leaving? Blue Brook Guild would fight for a bit and then turn around to check. All they saw was Lord Grimm's group following them closely, which added to their fluster. Everyone was worried that the other side had targeted them. The other side was probably waiting for them to get low before attacking, right? As a result, the healers were very busy. Everyone was shouting, heal, 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 but when the healers went to heal, what was there to heal? Their had only health dropped 5% and they were crying for their life. What was wrong with them? What's going on? Why has Blue Brook Guild suddenly slowed down? Yi Shu had no idea what was happening, so he criticized them for being so slow. Little did he know that it was because of him. It's over. They've definitely locked onto us. Look, they're even following us wherever we go. Blue Brook Guild's elite group kept on killing, but those 3 kept following them like ghosts. This was similar to the saying, death is nothing to be afraid of. Waiting for death to arrive was what was scary. Right now, Blue Brook Guild's elite group felt like they were waiting for death to arrive. Why are they bullying us? Changing Spring couldn't bear it. He had to endure a lot over these past 2 days. He was Blue Brook Guild's leader and a huge fan of Team Blue Rain. How could he be happy seeing Team Blue Rain lose so tragically? He wanted to let out his emotions too, but he had to control himself. He had to consider things from a management perspective and couldn't give in to his heart's desires. After all, he wasn't purely a fan anymore. Changing Spring couldn't bear having Lord Grimm's group of 3 following them around like ghosts. Isn't he just a god? What's there to be afraid of? It's just 3 people. We have 200. Why should we be afraid of you? Everyone, up! Changing Spring grinded his teeth and gave the order. Many of the people in the guild were still afraid, but with the order given, they had to follow the order as the elite group, even if they were afraid. As a result, Blue Brook Guild's players turned around and charged at Yi Shu's group. Huh? What's this? Yi Shu stared blankly. Why was Blue Brook Guild suddenly charging at them? What were they trying to do? Careful, Yi Shu had his suspicions about the other side's intentions, but he couldn't understand why. Yi Shu's thought the process was a bit wrong. He thought that he was scrap-picking like everyone else, but who scrap-picked with such high profile? This type of scrap-picking put Blue Brook Guild under a lot of pressure. Bang! When Blue Brook Guild's first attack came out, their intentions were completely exposed. What? Tang Ru was puzzled, but she was excited, hearing this. This girl didn't like to scrap pick, but a fight was good. Blue Brook Guild's players, equipment, and skill were all at the top of the game. They could be considered as powerful opponents. Tang Ru really wanted to fight them to see how much she had progressed. Hurry up and run. But instead, she heard Yi Shu order for a retreat. Tang Ru didn't have the experience to examine the other side's strength, but Yi Shu did though. 3 people against 200 elites was impossible. Breaking through an encirclement or accomplishing some other purpose was still possible, but a fight to the death wasn't. Let's just fight for a bit. Tang Ru didn't want to leave. Yi Shu thought about it again. Right. Fighting shouldn't be a problem. At worst, they would die and lose some of the equipment they had picked up and some experience. Their opponents were all experts in the game. They would be good practice targets. After thinking about it, Yi Shu replied, then you guys go and fight. I'll transport your equipment. Hurry up and trade with me. Blue Brook Guild was closing in. Yi Shu's group ran, while completing the trade. The two gave the equipment on themselves and the ones in their inventory to Lord Grimm. Okay, go ahead. Good luck, Yi Shu encouraged them. He felt a bit distracted too. This sort of feeling was like sending his team members off onto the stage. Senior, you go ahead first. We'll protect you, Steam Bun shouted heroically. As expected, he had the completely wrong idea. Yi Shu didn't try to explain to him. His Lord Grimm continued to run away, while Soft Mist and Steam Bun Invasion turned around after completing the trades and charged resolutely towards Blue Brook Guild's 200 players. Chapter 692. Did I scare you guys? Lord Grimm's group looked as if they were planning to run, which allowed Blue Brook Guild feel more at ease. Blue Brook Guild wasn't dead set on killing them, so forcing them to run away was good enough. Who would have thought that their moment of ease wouldn't even last 5 seconds? After running for a bit, Soft Mist and Steam Bun Invasion suddenly turned around and charged at them. As for Lord Grimm, he simply glanced at them for a brief second. Then, he turned tail and ran, appearing cold and indifferent towards the situation. Are we screwed? Blue Brook Guild began to panic again. In the end, Soft Mist and Steam Bun Invasion died. 2 players beating 200 wasn't even a remote possibility. Especially since one of the two came looking for a fight, while the other was there to protect Senior. They charged forward in a very direct manner without any sort of tactics. In the end, the two were swallowed up by the sea of Blue Brook Guild players. When Blue Brook Guild saw the 2 corpses, they were shocked. They looked all around them and even checked the sky too. That's it? There were no reinforcements? No ambushes? No follow-up? No trouble was brought to them? They just got killed like that? While Blue Brook Guild was at a loss, Soft Mist and Steam Bun Invasion revived at the city, waiting to meet up with Lord Grimm. Both of them had lost experience as well as a piece of equipment. These were all trivial matters though. When the 3 convened, Yi Shu laughed out loud and asked, how is that? Senior, as long as you're fine, it's okay. Steam Bun still thought it had all been to protect Yi Shu. There were a bit too many opponents, Tang Ru had to admit it. Against so many opponents, no matter how skilled you were, it wouldn't be possible. When she charged over, her chasers flew around everywhere, showing their might. She was in such a frenzy that Blue Brook Guild seemed like they didn't dare to get close to her. Her battle spirit quickly reached the 7th stage. But following afterwards, they just kept their distance. Blue Brook Guild had long-ranged classes. All of them open-fired and Tang Ru's Soft Mist couldn't even get close to them before she died. Steam Bun Invasion was pretty much the same. He charged forward and then died soon afterwards. In the end, the two weren't even able to kill a single Blue Brook Guild player. Trying to fight against so many people in a head-on collision obviously isn't possible. In that sort of situation, you have to use everything you have, utilizing guerrilla warfare, and finding opportunities to kill them off one by one, Yi Shu said. Tang Ru nodded her head. After trying it once, she now knew that it definitely wasn't possible to beat them in a head-on fight. She didn't plan on trying again either. She didn't like losing, but that didn't mean she was stupid. Tang Ru could clearly distinguish between what was possible and what wasn't. There's a prerequisite for using this method to deal with 200 players though. They have to be willing to play with you, Yi Shu said. Originally, they were very willing to do so, but now, it seems like they don't plan on concerning themselves with us anymore. Their sudden attack today was quite unexpected. Yi Shu was aware of the change in attitudes from the guilds. When he had first entered the heavenly domain, they pursued him without any hesitation, but after a few tries, the thunder and rain lessened until it became peaceful. Yi Shu knew that the guilds hadn't done any negotiations or anything. Their attitudes just eventually shifted to their current one. Yi Shu had friended Blue Rain's character just moments ago. He sent a message over to ask, "What's going on with you guys? You guys kept following us. It put us under a lot of pressure," Blue River replied. Nonsense. We were just there to scrap pick. If we don't follow you, who do we follow? Yi Shu replied. Is shooing away scrap pickers anything weird? Blue River felt a bit speechless. When had scrap picking ever been something righteous? Did he not know that scrap pickers were even more annoying than flies? Why is he accusing us as if we're in the wrong? You'll regret it, Yi Shu said. Is that a threat? Blue River asked. No, I'm just giving you a heads up. Just wait for it, Yi Shu said. Blue River suddenly became a bit nervous. It wasn't a secret that God Yi Chu had created a 4-guild alliance. Right now, Samsara and Blue Brook Guild were fighting because of the finals. The other guilds and fans weren't participating. Hearing these words from him, was he planning on bringing the 4 guilds into the fight to wipe them out? Was he actually planning on stealing from us? F***CK, is another calamity going to befall us? If he had known earlier, Blue River was certain the guild would let the 3 scrap pickers follow them and endure the pressure. Their elite group didn't want to suffer too many losses, now they had offended someone, who was about to forcefully rob from them. Blue River didn't dare delay. He immediately notified Changing Spring. When Changing Spring heard his words, he also started to panic. Their elite group only had 200 players. If the 4-guild alliance gathered all of their troops, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist. Even more so with someone like God Yi Chu leading the enemy troops. Hurry up and call for help, Changing Spring ordered. Big guilds had a huge numbers of players. Changing Spring hastily called for reinforcements. Originally, there were only 2 elite groups fighting. Now, there was a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way until there were 10 groups. Changing Spring still felt uneasy. Who knew how many troops the 4 guilds could muster? Samsara suddenly received information about Blue Brook Guild gathering a huge number of troops. They suddenly felt uneasy too. Both sides had been avoiding each other, but that was just a tacit agreement. They hadn't made any concrete agreement. Was Blue Brook Guild suddenly amassing troops to fight us? Samsara obviously felt worry. They were Blue Brook Guild's only enemy right now. We can't be careless right now. Call for reinforcements. Samsara's guild leader 3 Realms 6 Paths hastily gave the order. Samsara started to gather troops too. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until 10 groups were called. Something big's about to happen. Wei Chen's expression turned serious. What's wrong? Yi Shu asked. We've suddenly started gathering our troops together. It seems like we're planning on fighting a huge battle with Blue Brook Guild. Wei Chen may have held the title of the 2nd elite group's leader. His rise had been abrupt. It was because of his talent that he was able to rise to the step so quickly. Samsara still didn't place too much trust in him. As a result, even though he led an elite group, Wei Chen wasn't a core member of the guild yet. Every day, he received messages telling him what to do. As for what the purpose was, he had no idea. Is that so? How amazing. Where are you planning on fighting? We should get ready, Yi Shu said. The guild elites had been avoiding each other, leading to worse profits compared to the last few days. Now that a huge battle was about to erupt, Yi Shu wanted to seize this opportunity. I don't know yet. I'm still waiting for orders, Wei Chen said. Really? Then should I ask Blue Brook Guild, Yi Shu said. Huh? You can do that? Then go ask. Wei Chen was surprised. He thought that Yi Shu was a devil in the guild's eyes. It was quite unexpected that he could get his hand on such important information from the higher-ups of the guild. As he said this, he went over to look at who Yi Shu was messaging. What's going on? You're about to start a huge battle with Samsara? Yi Shu asked. Blue River's Blue Bridge Spring Snow. What? Blue River was puzzled. What? You don't know? Samsara's started gathering their troops, Yi Shu said. What? Blue River jumped up in fright. He immediately informed Changing Spring. Changing Spring already knew. Yes, I already got the news. Samsara's gathered around 10 groups together. They seem to be making a move. What are they trying to do? Blue Brook Guild was fervently discussing with one another. Samsara was fervently discussing this question too. This situation made Blue River feel like something wasn't right. Even though he detested this sort of fight, the fight had once again come to him. After thinking about it for a bit, he suddenly thought of something. Could this be some sort of scheme that Yi Chu came up with? F***CK. When this came out, many people suddenly became frightened. Not only is this guy gathering troops from the 4 guilds, but he's also pulling Samsara into this? No wonder Samsara suddenly became so confident and actually started to gather troops to fight us. Blue Brook Guild's core members were discussing with each other. This is going to be difficult to deal with. *T. That B** starred. He wants to loot a burning house. Changing Spring cursed. The onlookers weren't sure if he was cursing at Yi Chu or Samsara. Then again, both of them should be cursed. Both of them were B** stards. This deduction had come from Blue River's guess, but Blue River felt that something still wasn't right. If this was Yi Chu's doing, then his message was a bit strange. It didn't seem to make any sense. Right when he was thinking, Lord Grimm messaged, "Are you guys going to make a move?" "Make what move?" Blue River asked back. "Aren't you going to make a move against Samsara?" "What are you talking about?" Blue River was becoming more and more confused. It seems like Samsara took the initiative. Yi Chu felt like he had grasped the situation as he told Wei Chen. The two big guilds have around the same level of strength. Blue Brook Guild should still be a little bit stronger though. For Samsara to take the initiative, it definitely can't be that simple. Maybe they're hiding some helpers? Wei Chen started thinking. For a huge confrontation of this scale, if any other guild was going to come and help, they would have needed to make preparations beforehand. It isn't possible for neither of them to have noticed such a gathering of troops, Yi Chu said. Maybe it's just us who hasn't discovered it? It's not like we have a huge information network, Wei Chen said. Who says we don't? Bro, we're in a 4-guild alliance. Don't underestimate them, Yi Chu said. He messaged the 4 guild leaders to ask them to take note of any movements from the other guilds. At this moment, Blue River organized all the information he had with him, especially the records of his conversations with Lord Grimm. Finally, he still felt something wasn't right and asked, "Could it be that you're not scheming anything?" "What scheme?" Yi Chu was puzzled by Blue River's sudden question. "You said you'd make us regret it," Blue River said. "Oh, that was just something I said randomly." "What? Did I scare you guys?" Yi Chu asked. Chapter 693. Award Ceremony. Blue River wanted to die. How could he have known that someone with the status of God would bluff like a third-rate player? Blue Brook Guild had panicked at the slightest threat and made a big fuss out of nothing. Since God didn't have any intention to make good on his threat, the 4-guild alliance and Samsara weren't anything to worry about. Why did Samsara make a move? Blue River was an experienced player. After thinking about it for a bit, he guessed. This made him feel even more ashamed. There originally hadn't been any issues. He had regarded God Yi Chu's words as truth and nervously notified his guild leader. How could he have known that this would create such a huge misunderstanding? How was he supposed to explain this to Changing Spring? In any case, he had to say what he had to say. Blue River could only muster up the courage and explain to Changing Spring. Changing Spring felt depressed at the explanation too, but he didn't blame Blue River. After thinking about it for a bit, if he had been in Blue River's position and God Yi Chu said something like that, he would have also been nervous like Blue River. Now that they discovered that it was all a misunderstanding. From this point of view, it was Samsara who had reacted to their movements. Blue Brook Guild should hurry and disperse their teams to prevent Samsara from taking the initiative and attacking them. After winning the championships, Samsara must certainly be very excited. Who knew what they might do? When Changing Spring thought about how he had to order everyone to disperse, he felt a headache coming. He had roared at everyone to hurry up and gather together. Without doing anything, everyone suddenly needed to disperse. Was this a joke or something? Changing Spring couldn't think of any excuse to make. In the end, he could only say it was a misunderstanding and had everyone scatter. Samsara had already fallen for the misunderstanding. Changing Spring was afraid that having everyone scatter wouldn't be enough of an explanation to the other side, so he gave Samsara's guild leader 3 Realms 6 Paths a message. "It's a misunderstanding. Don't make this a big deal." 3 Realms 6 Paths was just about to give a speech to everyone, when he suddenly received the message from Changing Spring. He suddenly froze. Changing Spring was so annoying. His messages were always so short, making it difficult to make things clear. 3 Realms 6 Paths didn't ask him for further details and instead asked Blue Brook Guild's Flying Brushstroke. He was a core member of Blue Brook Guild and one of the 5 great experts. 3 Realms 6 Path reckoned that if Changing Spring knew about it, the other core members would know too. Flying Brushstroke obviously knew about it, but it was so embarrassing. They had panicked at some casual words from God Yi Chu. How could that be anything glorious? Of course, it wasn't. As a result, Flying Brushstroke didn't want to say the truth. He just said they had a misunderstanding with someone, not towards Samsara. If Samsara had gathered their troops to defend against them, they didn't need to. He didn't want to talk about the details. Three Realms Six Paths obviously didn't want a huge battle with Blue Brook Guild. Their guild's strength was weaker than Blue Brook Guild by a bit. However, Blue Brook Guild wasn't explaining things clearly, which made it difficult for him to relax. Thus, he didn't mobilize the troops, but he had everyone stay, just in case. However, since Samsara didn't disperse, Blue Brook Guild became nervous. Their players had all left. If Samsara didn't, were they planning on attacking them? As a result, Blue Brook Guild continued to ask Samsara. The two guilds went back and forth all because of a few words that Yishu casually said. He had no idea though. He was just waiting for the elites to start fighting, so he could pick up equipment. Seeing that there weren't any movements, he lost his patience and pestered Blue Bridge Spring Snow. Are you fighting or not? Are you fighting or not? Blue River wasn't in the mood to answer him anymore. He just pretended like he was dead. While the two guilds were talking, the elites were just standing there. They weren't even bullying normal players, right now. Then again, Samsara had gathered 1,000 players together. Normal players weren't so stupid as to provoke such a huge army. A perfectly good opportunity to scrap pick had become something the scrap pickers could only sit and wait for. F***CK. What's going on? Wei Chen was completely puzzled. He was a group leader, but he had no idea what the higher-ups wanted. It made feel very awkward. Yi Shu was helpless. He handed over a cigarette to Wei Chen and glanced at his screen. He saw a figure flash by his warlock. Hey hey hey! Turn to the left, Yi Shu hastily cried out. What? Wei Chen was currently lighting his cigarette. Hearing Yi Shu's cry, he put the cigarette in his mouth and swiped his mouse to the left. Yi Shu looked at Wei Chen's screen and immediately discovered something. That punk. Keep an eye on him for me, Yi Shu pointed. Assassin, not white. Deception knew that Yi Shu was scrap-picking at Blue Brook Guild's side, so he didn't dare go over there again. There were two hold lands for scrap-picking at the moment, one at Blue Brook Guild's side and one at Samsara's side. Since he couldn't go to the Blue Brook Guild one, Deception ran over to Samsara. But because of this incident, there wasn't anything to scrap-pick for now. Deception patiently waited for an opportunity. When he saw so many Samsara players gather, he knew that something big was about to happen. The bigger the battle, the better the scrap picking. How could Deception bear to leave? After wandering around the nearby area, Yi Shu happened to notice him on Wei Chen's screen. Who's this? Wei Chen asked. That's Deception's alternate account, Yi Shu said. Deception was a talent that Yi Shu wanted to recruit, so Yi Shu had introduced him to Wei Chen before. Oh, that guy. Perfect. I'll go see how good he is, Wei Chen said. A few minutes later, Wei Chen let out a sigh. F***CK, he really does have some skill. He almost escaped. Yi Shu looked at Not White's corpse as well as Samsara's elite players moving about on Wei Chen's screen. He couldn't help but sigh. You really are a brute. Was there really a need to call for so many people? I'm a group leader. I have a group around me, why wouldn't I use them? You want me to run over and duel him? That doesn't follow the game's rules, Wei Chen said righteously. He said he wanted to see how good Deception was for himself. Instead of having his warlock face him head-on, he called his entire second elite group to take on the task. It was 100 players versus 1, but this time, it was different from Tang Ru's and Steamed Bun invasion's situation. Tang Ru and Steamed Bun charged forward to fight them, but Deception wanted to run. However, Wei Chen was still able to lead his team and kill him off without much suspense. He could still tell that Deception wasn't simple though. This guy's worthy of being recruited. Keep whittling him down. I'll help you keep a lookout for him, Wei Chen said. Yi Shu had talked to him about Deception's circumstances. Recruiting someone who wasn't interested in the pro scene was a difficult task. It was as if football club went to an NBA player and said, "Hey, why don't you come with us and win the UEFA Champions League?" The NBA player would think the club was insane, no? In addition, Deception didn't have a good understanding of the pro scene either. He didn't want to talk either. Their only choice was to whittle him down until he did by killing him over and over again. He might have other alternate accounts. Take note, Yi Shu said. For a player like him, hiding his alternate accounts is difficult, Wei Chen nodded his head. As a result, Yi Shu brought Tang Ru and Steamed Bun over to Blue Brook Guild's side. Wei Chen continued to sit at Samsara's side. If Deception wanted to continue scrap picking, he would have to give up on these two locations. We're here to scrap pick again. Don't make this a big deal. Yi Shu led Tang Ru and Steamed Bun over to an area near Blue Brook Guild's elite group. But this time, he gave Blue River a heads up. Changing Spring felt his hands shake at the information. Scrap pickers didn't have a good name. Usually, they wouldn't bother with them and kill them if it was in the passing. To think a scrap picker would actually give them a heads up. Endure. Changing Spring endured it. Even though the previous incident had been a misunderstanding, he was aware of this god's abilities. However, letting him scrap pick without any worries was too shameful. Changing Spring gave the order to pay attention and pick up any dropped items. He didn't want Yi Shu to have it so easy. The day passed by like this. In the end, Samsara and Blue Brook Guild didn't fight. A misunderstanding was a misunderstanding. As long as no one took advantage of it, it was easy to resolve. Blue Brook Guild didn't gather everyone or make any ambushes. Samsara also dispersed their army and continued to display their might by bullying normal players. Yi Shu's group scrap picked for the entire day. Blue Brook Guild saw it clearly, but pretended to not notice. But they still listened to their guild leader's orders. They picked up equipment like crazy, especially when they saw those three come over. They immediately stopped what they were doing and pick up anything around them. Oftentimes, those three had to leave with nothing to show for it, making Blue Brook Guild's players very happy. After this day passed, the week officially ended. As the curtains fell, Season 8 of the Glory Pro Alliance was also put to rest. Team Samsara was this season's champions. Their team captain and ace player, Joe Sakai, was proclaimed the MVP of the regular season and the MVP of the finals. At the same time, he also won the Team DPS Star and Most Reliable Player in the group arena. All of these came from the statistics gathered in the regular season. There were other awards as well. King of Duels, which was based on the number of wins in the individual competition, was awarded to Team Tiny Herbs Liu Xiaobi and his Blade Master Flying Sword. One Hit One Kill, which was based on the finishing blows in the team competition, was awarded to Team Blue Rain's Huang Xiaoshan and his Blade Master Troubling Rain. Best Sixth Player, which was based on the achievements of the sixth player in the team competition, was awarded to Team Misty Rain's Lu Yining and his Sharpshooter Something to Hide. Team Void's Li Zan and Wu Yus won Best Pair for their Ghostblade duo. Team 100 Blossoms Tang Hao won Rising Star. There was also the Best Rookie Award. This award was given based on evaluations of the matches throughout the year. Season 8 wasn't as spectacular as Sun Jiang's rookie year last season. Sun Shang had played a leading role in his team and was a fierce opponent. Team Thunderclaps Dai Yanqi, Team Wind Howl's Zhao Yuji, Team Royals He Weitang were often mentioned. In the end, Team Wind Howl's Zhao Yuji won Best Rookie. Team Wind Howl ended in 9th this season and failed to make it to the playoffs. Their team captain and ace player Lin Jingyan's condition was declining due to age. After the duel between him and Tang Hao at the All-Star competition, which he lost, the title of number 1 brawler was no longer his. Their team's other All-Star, Fang Rui, had a strong start, but a weak finish this season. The All-Star competition was the start of his decline. On the other hand, Zhao Yu's performance was steady all throughout the year, so he won the Best Rookie Award. After the Season 8 awards were given, the two relegated teams had to be mentioned. Team Excellent Era and Team Mysterious Fantasy. Because these teams placed second to last and last in the regular season, they were relegated. Chapter 694. First Summer Transfer. Although these results were officially announced after the finals, the outcome had already been decided and known weeks ago. Everyone had already been discussing it for a while now, especially with one of the relegated teams being a former powerhouse. Relegated teams rarely attracted this much attention. Only the fans of that team would be grieved. After everything had been decided, Excellent Era gave a public statement. While the eyes of everyone were focused on the champions, Excellent Era wanted to give their fans a little bit of hope. Club Excellent Era's boss, Dao Zan, personally accepted an interview. In the interview, he said that, although Team Excellent Era had been relegated, it was far from being over, especially after seeing this year's finals. From Samsara, he ascertained that his choices for the players in the team were correct. This was an era, which required stars, and that his team had a star as brilliant as Joe Sakai. Are you talking about Sun Shang? The interviewer could easily guess who Dao Zan was talking about. Sun Shang was a god-level player and his appearance was quite good too. He had everything Joe Sakai possessed and he also wasn't as quiet as Joe Sakai. If he continued to grow, he would be worth even more than Zhou Zikai. From Dao Zan's words, it seemed like he was very confident of this. With a popular player like Su Mucheng on the team, Excellent Era wasn't any stranger to promoting a player's business value. It could be seen from Dao Zan's attitude that although Su Mucheng was outstanding, she still couldn't compare to Zhou Zikai. No one would argue about such a notion. In a competitive environment, victory was still the main factor. Beauty was beauty, but the audience wasn't watching the competitive scene to look at pretty girls. Zhou Zikai's stunning performance pumped up the players. Appearance was just a little flower to top things off. Su Mucheng wasn't a bad player. If her skill was garbage, no matter how beautiful she was, it wouldn't have been possible for her to be so popular. The pro scene wasn't such a place where one could eat just based on their looks. Even if one were promoted as someone who was skilled, one's performance on stage would reveal everything anyways. Since one's performance on stage was the main factor, the content of the match mattered too. It's like in football, how the forward always brought more attention than the rear guard. The performance in a match, the playstyle, and the importance of the match all decided a player's popularity. From this point of view, Zhou Zikai stood out the most. In Dao Zan's eyes, Su Mucheng wasn't someone who could reach that level. Her performance on stage wasn't outstanding enough. Her popularity would at best stay the same. It would be good if it didn't decline. As for Sun Xiang, he was someone who could stand next to Zhou Zikai. He was young. He had drive. He had good looks. His potential was limitless. Zhou Zikai's success was a living example, which seemed to be a stimulant for Dao Zan, who dared to announce it to the media. His praise for Samsara's success didn't indicate his love for the team. It was simply because they were proof that his way of thinking about the team was correct. Praising Samsara only allowed the fans to know, even though we were eliminated this season, by following the correct path, we'll rapidly grow. Look at this season's champions Samsara. That will be us in the future. They have Zhou Zikai. We have Sun Xiang. However, from how this season went, it doesn't seem like Sun Xiang and Team Excellent Era are fitting together too well. The interviewer obviously wouldn't blindly flatter Dao Zan. He still had to be incisive when he needed to be. However, Dao Zan remained calm when faced with such an embarrassing question. He admitted that there had been problems between Sun Xiang and Team Excellent Era, otherwise, they wouldn't have been relegated, but he once again emphasized that Team Excellent Era had great aspirations and that things needed to be looked at from the perspective of the future. Their previous glory was now part of the past. The team needed to turn a new leaf. As for how they were going to deal with the issues between Sun Xiang and Team Excellent Era, Dao Zan delightedly threw out a huge bomb. Team Thunderclap's captain, all-star, and master tactician Xiao Shiken would be transferring to Team Excellent Era next season. I don't think I need to explain Xiao Shiken's achievements, do I? I believe that he'll be able to beautifully incorporate every one of Team Excellent Era's members into his tactics, Dao Zan confidently expressed. This was definitely a huge bomb dropped. Xiao Shiken had already announced his departure from Team Thunderclap in the playoffs. Many people guessed that he would be transferring to Team Excellent Era. It was very reasonable. However, this had just been a guess. Team Excellent Era was simply one of many possibilities. Although it was logical, Team Excellent Era had been relegated, which was a very vulnerable weakness. Would an all-star like Xiao Shiken still want to join a team that needed to go through the Challenger League next year? Team Excellent Era had now confirmed it. The Glory Pro Alliance's summer transfer window started from July 1 to August 31. It was still June right now, but the season was already over. Xiao Shiken had stated his intentions earlier and Dao Zan had released the news. Although it didn't conform to the rules exactly, no one really minded. Dao Zan was also anxious. Their team would not be participating in the regular season next year. They would certainly lose a lot of popularity. He had to do everything he could so that the fans wouldn't give up on them. Announcing Xiao Shiken's transfer early was a good move. Because everyone knew Xiao Shiken wasn't transferring to Team Excellent Era to play in the Challenger League, but was instead thinking about the future. He would sacrifice a season, return to the Pro Alliance with a stronger Team Excellent Era, and win the championships. If even an all-star like Xiao Shiken thought highly of Team Excellent Era's future, wouldn't others also be patient? Dao Zan's message was mainly used for this effect. The first transfer for the summer had already been announced. This sort of news was certainly delightful news for the fans during the break. After the finals ended, the official break period for the teams began. This was only a break for some people. For the owners, managers, logistics, team captain, etc., it wasn't a vacation. In order to prepare for the upcoming season, every team would still be operating. Whether it was player transfers, character transfers, or equipment upgrades, all of these were the main tasks during the summer. The diligent players would even return to practicing after a short rest. There might not be any matches to play, but they would still play in the game, assisting their clubs in killing wild bosses. Yishu obviously knew about this situation. This was all voluntary for the players though. The clubs wouldn't require it. Conquering Clouds, Radiant, and Parade didn't make it into the playoffs, so their break had started earlier. However, none of their pro players were willing to use this break to contribute to the team, which made Yishu quite sad. Helping out in the game during their break was more of an old player habit. In the early days of the Alliance, pro players weren't solely responsible for the matches that they played in. In-game activities such as killing bosses for materials and other forms of competitio were tasks that pro players frequently participated in. As for the later generation players, they only needed to focus on practicing and preparing for their matches. The in-game tasks were given to a separate specialized game department in the club. As a result, the number of pro players who helped out in-game during the break became fewer and fewer. Those 3 teams had already been on a 1-month break, yet none of their players had the conscience to help out their guilds in-game. Yishu felt like there wasn't any hope. After a fierce showing between Blue Brook Guild and Samsara, the fans gradually calmed down and the game became peaceful again. Snatching bosses was something that always needed to be done, but this time, everyone knew a new opponent had come, God Yichu and his 4-guild alliance. Last week, everyone was busy fighting with each other, so they never actually faced them, but now, everyone would be facing this new challenge. The guild core members were all somewhat uneasy. Their opponent was no small fry. Early Monday morning, 3 wild bosses spawned across the heavenly domain. The 4-guild alliance made an impressive showing, but weren't able to take any of these 3 bosses in the end. However, this was because God Yichu wasn't there. The 4 guilds were relying on their own abilities to fight. It was a big difference without God Yichu's leadership and support. Later in the morning, Yishu's group logged on. Lulan Slash and the other guild leaders were eagerly awaiting for him to come online. Even though different players could cycle through the guild characters, in their group, Yishu himself was important, not his character. When Yishu wasn't online, they could only pray that no bosses spawned. Last night, 3 had spawned. The 4-guild alliance had attempted to contest them, but they failed. The top guilds were on their utmost guard against them. All of the top guilds seemed to be together too in this, as if the 4-guild alliance was their number 1 enemy. It had to be said that this was because of Yishu's terror. After knowing that Yishu was behind this, the top guilds couldn't help but gather together in fear. It wasn't like before, where they would discuss with each other for a long time before coming to a conclusion. Now, 2 words came out in their discussion group: he's here. The enemy Yishu had arrived. Another 2 words: be careful, and with this, an alliance was formed. The 4 guilds' attack didn't go well for them, so the 4 guild leaders revised their sleep schedule to match Yishu's. In the morning, they sighed, sure enough, God Yichu is very important. Without him, our 4 guilds are nothing. Because of God Yichu's addition, they became the target of everyone, so the difficulty in snatching bosses changed. This was something that they had failed to realize. Chapter 695. 4-person representative group. Lulan Slash and the other 3 guild leaders gathered together, but Lord Grimm was still missing from their friends list. Ever since they became allies, they promised to meet up at a certain time every day. However, when the 4 met up at the designated time, God had yet to log on. They suddenly became very anxious. Why hasn't God arrived yet? The 4 were worried. After hearing about the reports for the 3 battles last night, they all knew that God's existence was indispensable. They wouldn't be able to do anything without him. At this moment, all 4 guild leaders received a friend request at the same time. The friend requests were all from a player called Enlightened Lord. They also saw the reason for the request: Lord Grimm. The 4 were puzzled, but they still accepted the friend request. It's me, the Enlightened Lord guy messaged as soon as he was added. God, the 4 expressed their uncertainty all at once. Yeah. Why did you change accounts? The four couldn't understand. It doesn't matter, Yi Shu replied unhurriedly. Of course, there was a reason for using an alternate account. Yi Shu reckoned that if they fought for bosses, the moment Lord Grimm came out to the front, all of the big guilds would go over and eliminate him at all costs. This was very disruptive towards the balance. Everyone was there to snatch bosses. It wouldn't be convenient to provoke everyone to kill him first. As a result, Yi Shu decided to use an alternate account if he really needed to. They had quite a lot of alternate accounts. Wei Chen and Chen Guo bought them with Wei Chen's earnings. In the end, Chen Guo gloomily discovered, why did she ask others to help build a guild? Couldn't she just make up for their lack of numbers with all of these alternate accounts? Thus, Guild Happy was established once they gathered all these side accounts together. However, it was quite lonely because apart from Chen Guo's chasing haze and the battle mage who left excellent era with her, forest landscape, there weren't any other live players in the guild. Everyone else was just alternate accounts. The account cards were lying neatly in the drawer, without any trace of life or use. It still hadn't been 5 days since Lord Grimm, Soft Mist, and Steam Bun Invasion left Heavenly Justice. The friends that Chen Guo urged to join weren't enough as well. Today was good though. A third live name had finally been added to the guild, Enlightened Lord, a cleric among the bundle of accounts they bought. The original equipment on him was pretty bad. The three had gained quite a lot from their diligent scrap picking during these past few days. However, Yi Shu was too lazy to pick equipment from their harvest, so he asked Chen Guo for some gold so he could directly buy his equipment from the market. Just like this, he gathered together some mediocre equipment. After that, he sent friend requests to the 4 guild leaders. After the request was accepted and everyone was now in touch again, they were ready to kill any bosses that appeared. After Samsara and Bluebrook Guild calmed down, everyone finally stopped fighting. Even though there were still a few clashes from time to time, the scale of the conflict between them wasn't big enough for a scrap-picking ground. Yi Shu's group of 3 had free time since there was nothing to do. Yi Shu was casually walking around with his Enlightened Lord, while Tang Ru and Steam Bun were practicing. Yes, practice. Those two were no longer casually mucking around like normal players in the game. Yi Shu was researching and organizing a set of specialized training programs. Pro teams had their own training programs, but practice naturally relied on a variety of programs through the computer. Yi Shu didn't have any of the programs on hand, but he understood the reasoning behind the practice drills. As a result, he adopted a primitive method by using Glory's in-game environment to design different kinds of drills. Although they weren't as targeted or effective as those specialized programs, he didn't have a better way. Tang Ru and Steam Bun needed these kinds of repetitive systematic training methods in order to strengthen and consolidate their skills. It also helped to raise their awareness in the game. These drills weren't effective if they were only practiced for a day or two. Like exercising the body, they required repetition. These repetitive practices were relatively dull, after they passed their phases of newness. However, hard work was necessary if one wanted to become a true professional player. If one only played for fun, they could only become a skilled online player at best. Professional player. The word before player was professional. If one wanted to become a pro player, he or she must have a professional attitude. These kinds of repetitive drills would build up one of the required attitudes for a professional players. These drills would accompany the player throughout their whole career. The players relied on these training methods to improve and strengthen their skills, while older players needed them to adjust and maintain them. It seemed as if Yi Shu never specifically trained for these. This was because with his skill level, he was able to apply the theory into practice. As long as he was aware, he was able to complete these practices daily, through killing mobs, PK, and even when he was hurrying along his way. He didn't need to use things like computer software. For him, training opportunities were everywhere. Tang Ru and Steam Bun were still new to the training, so they were enthusiastic. However, the two didn't practice for long today before Martial Awareness, Parade's guild leader, sent everyone some news. A boss had spawned. Level 70 Wild Boss, Dalaki Stadium, Gladiator Vitalives. This boss was geared towards the assassin from the Nightwalker class. However, it possessed a shield like a knight. It was a boss's speciality to be able to have a mixture of classes. The players had gotten used to it, so they didn't have too many sentiments. Like facing every other wild boss, the boss itself was never the hard part. The hard part was snatching the boss from all of the other guilds. Let's hurry, they had already lost 3 bosses last night due to God's absence. Now that he along with the other 4 guilds were here, they could finally strike with their full power. In addition, this was after their period of convenient pickings. They could finally formally compete with the big guilds for the boss. Level 70 wild bosses. It went without saying that the big guilds would go at full power. Their success or failure this time would truly determine whether their alliance was worth it. Let's set off. Yi Shu called for Tang Ru and Steamed Bun and advanced with his cleric, Enlightened Lord. Tang Ru and Steamed Bun also switched to their alternate accounts. Even though Soft Mist and Steamed Bun Invasion drew less enmity than Lord Grim, the big guilds would definitely know that these two were sworn followers of God Yi Chu. They wouldn't be any better when they were on the battlefield. Yi Shu felt that it was better to stay low-key. After the 3 had switched to their side accounts, did they have to hide their title as part of Guild Happy? Although it was just recently established in the Heavenly Domain, the news must have spread out from the 10th server. The big guilds most probably knew whose guild this belonged to. This time, there were no longer only 3 people who represented Guild Happy. There was a 4th person. Lil Cold Hands. He already left Tyrannical Ambition and was considered to have transferred to Happy officially. However, his character was similar to Lord Grim. It still hadn't been 5 days since he left, so he couldn't join the guild yet. He was already a member of the team, so Yi Shu didn't hide the current situation of the guild. The wild boss was also something they had to compete for in the game. After hearing that Guild Happy was about to fight, Little Cold Hands hurried over, despite not being part of the guild yet. Dalaki Stadium was near Maluo City and the teleportation portal there was destination that had to be passé, so the 2 sides agreed to meet up here. By the time Little Cold Hands rushed over, he saw many players with the title of the big guilds. Players with exceptional equipment were constantly teleporting here and rushing towards the same direction. Little Cold Hands saw these players and knew this was going to be a big event. Then, he spun around, searching for the person who called him to come here and soon heard a voice, "Little Hands, this way." Little Cold Hands spun around once again. He could hear the voice, but he couldn't find the person. However, he soon received an invitation to join in their group. The inviter was Enlightened Lord. Little Cold Hands spun around again and finally 3 characters at the foot of the wall beside the portal. Enlightened Lord was a cleric among the 3, alongside a battle mage and brawler. The 3 players together seemed unalarming yet scary. If someone told him in the past that these 3 were prepared to snatch a wild boss with these equipment, he would definitely die of laughter. After accepting the invite, Little Cold Hands saw a message in the group chat that put away his doubt. "It's us." Little Cold Hands walked over to meet with the 3. Yi Shu took the initiative to explain, "Our main accounts are too obvious. We need to stay low-key." Quote. "Alright, let's set off," Yi Shu said. "Just the 4 of us?" Little Cold Hands asked. "The Allied forces will arrive soon," Yi Shu said. "It's just the 4 of us." Little Cold Hands obviously didn't treat the Allied forces as his own people. "Do you have any problems with that?" Yi Shu asked. "No. Aren't our numbers a bit too few?" Little Cold Hands sweat. A bit too few? It was way too few. All of the leveling areas near Maluo City were level 70. The wild boss would definitely be level 70 as well. Even though Little Cold Hands had never joined such a high-level battle, but coming out of a big guild, even if he had never eaten a pig, he had still seen one before. The guilds would definitely send out the strongest elite groups to face the level 70 wild boss, and they were planning to compete with just 4 of them. "It's quite a lot. There were only 3 of us before you joined," Yi Shu said. Little Cold Hands didn't know what to say. Could this be the temperament of a professional team? As they traveled, Yi Shu got in touch with the 4 guild leaders. After asking everyone for their location, they chose a place and soon met up. Lulan/Uzican, Whitestream, and Martial Awareness were only leaders of a medium L guild in the eyes of top guilds such as Blue Brook Guild, Herb Garden and Tyrannical Ambition. On the other hand, in the eyes of normal players, they were worthy of being looked up to. The 4 guild leaders brought their troops with them. They all value this boss, so they brought their strongest elites. This could be seen just from their equipment. In comparison, Guild Happy only had 4 people and their equipment only got worse after one another. This was called a 5-guild alliance. Little Cold Hands was in a trance. Of course, he knew very well that they weren't a part of the alliance because of the guild's strength, but rather because of God Yichu God. Even so, now that everyone had gathered together, just from the sheer number of players that had gathered, their own side seemed much weaker. As for the other 3 on his side, they didn't seem to feel any discomfort towards this matter at all. Yes, they even had more people this time. Up until now, they only ever had 3 people.